So we're here with Ryan. Ryan is our new executive director, incoming executive director.
Ryan Murphy.
Of External Affairs, Research and Communications. He's been around for a long time as a byproduct of his confusing and irrational Bachelor of Science, Psychology, Computer Science degree. He's held 2 previous executive positions, and the highlight of his work as the Director of Student Life was organizing what the Muse called some of the most successful concerts in MUNSU history. Congratulations, Ryan. While his achievements as Executive Director of Campaigns included launching the Unlearn campaign and creating the Impact Award, which is a funding opportunity that Kim's kind of mentioned a little bit earlier. He's also been a Director-at-Large, part-time students rep, and science representative, and he looks forward to using his experience to enable his fellow executives and facilitate an action-oriented board. I like that. That's really good, Ryan. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan.
So we kind of stole the show there for a second. So could you maybe describe your role that you're taking on in kind of your own terms?
Sure. I see 3 pretty big, I guess, pieces of it. The first and arguably the most important is the member engagement component. So the Director of External Affairs is kind of the executive most responsible for making sure that MUNSU is accessible and open to membership, to making sure that people have the opportunity to engage in board decision making, to bring feedback to the board, and so that's the first piece, and I think we're going to talk about that a lot more later, so I'll focus on the other 2 for now.
Cool.
The second piece is public engagement, and so it's actually that the Director of External Affairs is the person who's the bridge between the Students' Union and the public, so all external organizations, and that includes the government, and so to me, it's a very important part of that role to make sure that we're building partnerships and trying to find ways to collaborate with outside organizations. And for example, I can see a really powerful opportunity in working with the Director of Campaigns and making sure that we're connecting to external organizations who are working on the same campaigns that we are, because we don't always get outside of our little world. And then the third is something that's actually come from the Director of External Affairs in history, because there used to be a very different structure about 10 years ago. There used to be a presidential structure, and the Director of External Affairs inherited a lot of the responsibilities from the president.
Definitely.
And what that means to me is that it's kind of the responsibility of the Director of External Affairs to enable the other executive and the board. And I look forward to using a lot of the leadership development experience that I've got, and I've been thinking for a long time. The psychology side of my degree is about I was really interested in organizational and industrial psychology, which is the focus on how to make an organization work really well, right? Or like how to make people work better and be more productive. And I look forward to using those sorts of ideas, and also to using a lot of what I've learned about through leadership development programs here at MUN to make sure that the executive and the board are working at their fullest capacity. So those are the things that I'm particularly excited about. There's a lot more to these roles, and so I'll leave it at that for now.
Cool. Well, yeah, like you said, you've got a lot of experience with MUNSU. What is it that makes you stick around? I mean, you've been on the board. My first year in university was your first year on the board. Max was still kicking it back in Bedford when you started on the board. So, I mean, I feel like I'd probably go crazy, and I haven't even been on the board once. So what is it that keeps you coming back for more year after year?
They call me Grandpa MUNSU, if you didn't know. So there is that. I do get my fair share of mockery for being around for this long. The thing that makes me stay around so much is, and it's cliche, but it's that I'm kind of repaying debts, right? I was actually never supposed to be a MUN student. I was supposed to go to the College of the North Atlantic, and when I first enrolled in MUN 7 years ago, I was on a waiting list to become an instrumentation technologist at the CNA. And so the first year I was here, I was kind of just wasting time. Literally, I was waiting. But at the end of that year, I said goodbye to a bunch of friends that I'd made, and I literally like said goodbye. I'm never going to see you again. And then I thought about it over the summer, and I was like, this is really the place for me. And I decided to stay, and I still had no idea what I was doing for quite a while. But interestingly, the opportunities that I had along the way while I was just kind of floundering are really what made me who I am. And to that end, the Students' Union is really responsible for making a lot of those opportunities happen. And that doesn't only mean the responsibilities that I've had with the board, but also with a variety of student groups. And so to me, like, I need to make sure that I'm helping make the board happen while I'm here, because the board made me happen in a way.
So one thing you were talking about, you were kind of talking about how you're incorporating your degree into a little bit like your psychology and even computer science stuff. So we like to talk to you kind of about the nature of communications in 2014 and how you feel like maybe the role needs to adapt a little bit, and you can maybe talk about any cool new apps or aids that might help you with communications this year.
Deal. The first thing that I want to say on that is that digital technology is often looked at as like this sort of key solution, and it's definitely not a replacement for being in person. So I look forward to using two different things that I'm passionate about. One is called social design, where it's the idea that like there are really deliberate ways you can organize how people get together and how people work together, and I guess that's the psychology side. And I look forward to using that to making sure that we are getting out there in very real, very powerful ways and talking to members. And in making sure that members have a chance to shape policy and to shape the decisions that we're making, and to help us do our work. But then, as you said, technology is a fun thing these days, and so I really do sound like a grandpa.
Yeah.
But I shouldn't, because I'm a big geek. There's a lot of different places that we can go as a students' union, and trying to use what's out there right now to make sure that members have as much access as is humanly possible with the students' union. And so that means that we have a website that's getting updated daily. It means that we're, in my mind, I look forward to writing a lot and to writing blog posts about recent decisions that we've made, or to ask questions about the student body and hopefully get some responses back. I also look forward to using different tools like forums, I think, but not the traditional forum. And I don't want to get into details because we're still shaping it, but there's plenty of tools out there that will allow us to simply open up to the members and to say, like, hey, if you want to bring up a topic with us and ask not only the board, but also any other members of the Students' Union if this is important or what we can do about it, there are tools out there that will allow us to do that, and do it in a very easy way. And to me, that's what it's all about. It's shaping the culture. It's making it really easy for people to jump in. And that means having a big button on the MUNSU website that says, like, get involved. And you click that button and you can already see all the different ways in which you can contribute to a conversation or to ask questions yourself.
Yeah, and now, so we talked a little bit about the kind of general communications and stuff. Internally, I know that I think on Wednesday evening, the executive here hosted a kind of a meet and greet for the incoming.
Right.
And one thing that was a kind of a problem for me when I was on the board was I was never here in the summer to participate. So could you maybe use the summer as an example as to how we might use our communication tools available to us now and kind of how we can develop the board?
Yeah. So the forum thing that I just talked about is one of the things that I hope to do. And by hosting that meet and greet, which is the first time that I've seen something like that happen with the board, we already like kind of put faces to names. And we had a really great showing. 32-ish, 31 or 32 people showed up for that meet and greet, which rarely happens before September for the board, which means that the board usually loses 4 months of development and of thinking together. And so I hope to use the online tools that I've talked about for over the summer to have a place where the board can get together and bring up ideas and meet, even if you are out of the province. And at the same time, like I said, to have a lot of in-person things too that are very deliberately designed so that they are very functional, very productive. And one thing that I've thought about a lot is that we spend a lot of time sort of circling and thinking about problems, but not necessarily getting to solutions. And so that action-oriented board that I'd like to see is something that would come from changing the way that we meet and discuss. And I can't talk except loftily about that yet. But
okay,
no, that's cool. That's cool. So I just want to say, when you were talking about the website and everything, I mean, I think you know your shit. I think that you're the good guy to take that over because the website's been getting delayed and stuff. But now, one thing I want to ask about, where you guys got acclaimed, I just sort of want to ask. I'm not going to say anything about a vote of confidence. I know the problems with vote of confidence, but I think that the amount of acclamations that we see is evidence of voter apathy and student apathy towards MUNSU in general. So I guess I just want to say, when you're external director of communications, what is it that how do you think that you should, or we should, MUNSU should communicate better to kind of end this apathy amongst the student body?
I'm going to pivot back to that idea of social design, to that idea of the culture. Apathy to me is pretty interesting because, and I mentioned this to, I think, laughter at the debate during the election, but the last time the voter the last time that voter turnout peaked, it's because a lot of scandal was happening. And so voter apathy to me means a lot of different things. And I think that it's about making sure that there are issues that are very relevant to every student out there that drives that voter turnout up. And that, more importantly to acclamations, drives up people getting involved. And so it's a matter of culture. It's a matter of those social design pieces that I talked about already, of bringing meetings to the members, of making sure that members have a chance to get involved well before an election comes around. And one really silly thing is that we usually could know the date of an election a long time before the election is actually supposed to take place.
Definitely.
And for some reason, we always, like, that priority always falls off the radar until, like, oh, gee, we need to set an election date. But we really should be getting better at setting that date well ahead of time and advertising it well ahead of time, and then providing a lot of opportunities for those people who think, gee, I might want to get on the board, to come out and see what it's really all about, to make sure that it's really for them. Because I bet there's a lot of people who see the posters too late, or who see the posters and wonder what it's really like, but don't have a chance to figure it out before they can run. And so fixing those little problems that are really easy to fix is, I think, the low-hanging fruit that would make voter turnout go up, and to really create some competitions for the positions that are on the board.
Wicked, good ideas.
Sure, and I appreciate you sharing that kind of stuff with us, and because yeah, it's kind of at least public opinion, talked about a lot in public opinion. But we're just going to move maybe to something a little more open-ended. Ryan, Ryan, you're involved, if I'm not mistaken, in a lot of leadership development stuff, and I think you have like a really kind of sincere, authentic passion for just learning and developing thoughts and stuff. And Ryan also had a TED Talk on YouTube. Maybe I'll make a little quick plug for that. Ryan Murphy on YouTube. He talked about what you're going to do when you grow up, essentially.
Not what you do, but who you're going to be when you grow up. That's actually the key part of the TED Talk.
Absolutely, yeah. Great, yeah. So,
what is it? Not what you're going to be, who you're going to be.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that shit's dope.
So maybe, Ryan, if you don't mind, maybe sharing a story with us, or something maybe thought-provoking, or something that you maybe been developing yourself, because, I mean, you also write for the Muse and stuff. Ryan's constantly producing content here, so.
Sure. So, to me, especially if you're a younger student, because older students tend to have a little bit more figured out, but it was about saying yes to everything. That first year where I floundered, I didn't really do anything I didn't really do anything in university. I didn't really go to classes or do homework or anything. I was just floundering because I was waiting. And then that second year, I realized that there was a lot of opportunities for me to learn about myself in going out and getting involved. And that's super cliche, but literally to go out there and to say yes to everything. And then to think a lot about what those opportunities, what those experiences mean to you, what parts of them you liked, what parts of them you didn't. Because that's how you expand, you look for a diverse set of opportunities, then you pick out what you really like, and then you kind of narrow down and you go into those more specific areas, but then you should fan out again. So I'm probably not making any sense, but the point is that personal development, university is all about personal development for me, and that personal development is all about looking at a lot of opportunities for yourself, diving into whatever you love, and then spreading out again. And then that process of spreading out and of getting specific is really how you find your niche in life. And that's kind of what I've done, and it worked for me, although not everybody.
And if you don't mind me commenting on that, I mean, we're very MUNSU-centric, and we talk about MUNSU and the nature of it all. But one thing that I recognize with all three of the people in the room with us and the other executives is that there's a grounding in clubs and societies, and there's a grounding in just to be involved with your students' union doesn't necessarily mean being involved with your board or board committees. I mean, it's being involved and like involved with the little sects and the little kind of micro organizations within it. So I think one thing that would make MUNSU less daunting for people is to realize that you don't necessarily go from zero to MUNSU. You kind of there's a big process there, and a number of different degrees to get involved with.
Yeah. So I guess now we're running out of time, so I guess we're going to ask this sort of our big picture question that we like to ask. We asked Robert and Devin a few weeks ago, but we didn't want to crowd it all up in here tonight with the same question 3 times. So if you could say one thing, Ryan, and you knew that in all 13,000 or however many it is nowadays, MUNSU members were going to hear what you had to say, what would you say?
going to cheat. I'm going to say two things. Because Matt just mentioned it, to get involved in club societies and resource centers, or to create your own if something's not out there. Because that is really how you learn who you are as much as it is you giving back, or you meeting other people. And so getting involved in the clubs and societies and resource centers that are out there is key to having a really powerful university experience. And then the real thing that I would say, that the message that I thought about when I was reflecting on this question, is for you to see problems and solve them. I think that everybody kind of walks through the day and like everybody complains a lot. I know that that's one kind of universal truth about people. And every time you complain, you're probably talking about a problem that can be solved somehow, right? And there are ways to solve every single problem. And I know that sometimes that doesn't sound realistic because there's a lot of really complex problems out there, but there's something to do. There's something to do about everything. And so when you see those problems, if you can't immediately come up with a solution, come talk to us, because that's what we're here for. And I think we can help you figure out how to fix that and how to make whatever you're thinking about work better.
Cool.
Thank you very much,
Thanks
Ryan.
a lot for coming on the show, Ryan, and Kim and Sean.